So today we're just going to sit together for a little bit and see where things go. Maybe talk about some ego traps. Who knows? Wherever it goes. So, unlike, I guess, most other YouTube videos, no goal. Maybe think of this as more of a meditation, a stream of consciousness, sadhana. You could use whatever word. You don't even have to define it if you don't want to. Maybe just sitting together, talking. I guess on your end, until I do some live streams, talking back and forth would be in the comments. Um, so yeah, I have no plan. I wasn't gonna even make a video today. So there's literally no set course on where I want to go. You might hear random sounds from the family in the background, or the dog, or the computer, whatever it might be. So just a little something different for today, kind of wherever things lead. One thing I was kind of thinking about this morning, just to get things started, is all the different and creative ways. I'll just use the term ego because it's a very easy general term to use, but all the creative ways our ego tries to hijack our spiritual journey or our spiritual insights and where we think we need to be, where we think we need to go, what we need to find out, all these kinds of puzzles we present to ourselves. And a lot of these puzzles are given to us when we're kids. And to the extent we accept them or reject them, has a lot to do with where we are in our lives. So, for instance, someone who is constantly abused and told they're no good and that kind of thing, as a kid, if they start to internalize that and accept that, it really has a large influence on where they are as an adult. Even though it's when they're a kid, we think, oh, that's in the past, quote unquote. But if you look at their life as an adult, it reflects what they internalize. Same thing, if you're told you're wonderful and you're loved and you deserve everything good in life, that can also help to define how you see things in your life. Even if objectively, let's say that you have health struggles, or maybe someone looking from the outside in say, well, they're not really that successful, or they're not, like, they struggle with these health issues. And yet, for some reason, that person seems totally at peace, totally happy, enjoying their life. Whereas another person who you might objectively see is, wow, they're wealthy, or they're perfectly healthy, and they're absolutely miserable. They're absolutely miserable with everything, and they see the downside to everything. And compare those two lives. Not a character judgment, but just how their different lives are defined. And is there an objective reality to that? In other words, is a life or a person objectively good or bad? Or are these just totally subjective things that we can make a decision on? My life is wonderful. My life is horrible. Is it dependent on the elements of your life, or is it dependent on your perspective on what you see in your life? I can't tell anybody that. That's something they have to decide for themselves, understand for themselves. And then I would say in my case, that there doesn't need to be an understanding, good or bad. Now, my little I, my small self, obviously, I can struggle with everything everybody else does every day: physical pain, health challenges, self image, whatever it might be. But then there's also a different awareness also that seems to stand both within all that but above it, or beyond it, or just kind of encompassing it but without being affected in terms of quality. So again, these are just some things I've been thinking about this morning. Decided to just kind of sit with you, make a video with absolutely no plan on where it goes, what I'm going to say, anything like that. There might be some extended silence. There's another point that's been brought up in the past, and I'm kind of the opinion that there's nothing really new. We can come up with different words to describe things, different ideas, etc. But truth is truth. It has been forever and will be forever. It's out of time and individual perspective and that kind of thing. But this type of comparison has been made before by several different people, and that is of getting a desire, or maybe let's say you're on a vacation and it's just an idyllic place. It's perfect. It's everything you wanted. You kind of, right when you get there, you're just relaxed and you're at peace. And it's the idea that it's not the actual place, or it's not the attainment of your desire. And in this case, it's the vacation, the pretty place, the relaxed, beautiful place that you get to be in. It's not those things that actually make you happy, but the peace and happiness that you get is actually from having those desires fall away. In other words, let's just say the beach is your place. That's where you're happiest. Could be anywhere, but let's just say, for argument's sake, it's the beach. So you finally get to the beach, you're on vacation. Is it really the beach itself that makes you happy? Being on vacation that makes you happy? Or is it the absence of the desire for that, what that place and what that feeling represents? It's the quietness, the serene awareness that happens, that is the source of your joy in those moments. It's not actually the thing. It's not the thing that you acquire. And you could even break it down like maybe it's a car or anything that you get. Is it really the thing that makes you happy, or is it now that it's this freedom you feel? It's like a weight is lifted off of you and you're closer to what some might call your true nature, which is not a forcing of lack of desire, but it's that natural, I just am happy. I'm just in the moment. almost weightless, happy, and just being. Now, another side to that is, and I've always looked at this as almost a barometer of my, not spiritual health, but maybe my, how, how much my spiritual realization is actually integrated into my everyday practical identity and human life. It's almost like the rational sinking down into the heart. How much has that actually occurred, and how stable is that? Um, if you're in that situation where you're in a kind of a flow state, just a perfectly peaceful, not perfectly, but just a very peaceful, desireless, happy place, just like we were discussing on vacation, how long does it take for you to actually almost get bored with the happiness? So let's envision, like, let's say you're sitting on the beach. You've been waiting for this for months or years. You don't feel the need for anything. You're just so happy to be there. How long before you start looking for something else to do? Like maybe we could rent a boat. Maybe we could, let's go out to dinner. Or you start thinking about all of these things to, even though it's the most wonderful, perfect, stress free environment, at some point, your mind begins to strike out and say, I need something. I want some stimulation. I want some ups and downs. I want some contrast to this perfection. And that's almost what it's like when you're talking about, people say they want spiritual realization and peace. And how ready are you for it, though? If you were in your ideal place, how long do you think it would take you to start to get restless and want to go back out of perfection and search out for different experiences and ideas and even risk pain? And then if you look at it from that perspective and you say, man, why did I choose to be born? There's so much suffering in the world. There's so many bad things that can happen. If you look at it from that perspective, it's pretty clear why you might have chosen to come back and experience another life. Because you got bored with perfection. You wanted excitement and risk and contrast, and to experience life as a single identity so that it can make you appreciate and get excited about all these different forms of the same energy. And then at some point during this life that you chose, and again, I'm being very simplistic, but I think you'll get the point as I keep going with it. At some point after you've chosen to come back into this life, then you crave the opposite again. You're like, okay, the pain is too much. The uncertainty is too much. The contrast is too much. I just want peace. I just want stillness and silence. Not realizing that that is what you are, but that you chose to come back, or you chose to be in this experience so that you could have exciting experiences and different things popping up all the time. So it's very interesting how it's this constant back and forth. Who you are never goes away. The ground of who you are never goes away. It's there before you're born, it's there while you experience all this, and it's there after you're quote unquote dead. Those things never go away. Just like the beach is always there, that experience is always there. Even if you choose to leave the beach and go get dinner or go for a bike ride somewhere in like the vacation town where you are, or go back to your hotel room, get room service, the beach is still there. That perfect, peaceful stillness that you experienced at first when you were on your vacation, where you could just sit still and just be, this is absolutely what I wanted, what I am, what I'm looking for. It's always there for you to go back to, even after you get sick of, okay, we've had dinner, we went for a bike ride. I really want to get back to that stillness again. So do you see how it can go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth? And this can be a problem for people too. If that back and forth is too quick, if it oscillates too much, then your vibration is off. You can feel lost, like you don't understand what's going on. You don't understand your life. You want one thing, your ego wants another. You start feeling like a chopped up, divided person, like there's all these different people inside you. And the more you go down that rabbit hole in terms of rationally wanting to understand it, I think the worse off you are. I think it's a dead end to actually try to use your rational, logical mind to understand it. It's okay to have kind of a broad outline and say, okay, that makes sense. And that makes me feel more comfortable in exploring things without my mind a little bit more, with my heart instead of my mind. So you have to be careful, because that's yet another trick of the ego, is to make it into a thing, an object. Something I didn't have before, an understanding I didn't have before, now I have it and I can lose it. But real transformation and real truth and real, if you want to use a very loaded word, enlightenment, doesn't come and go. That never comes and goes. Anything that comes to you, stays, and then goes is just part of this kind of game that we are consenting to play. But it's not the truth with a capital T. You've never really been missing anything. Although, absolutely, it feels that way. It can feel that way. But the truth is, it just is always there for you. It is what you are. Now, this mental creation that we take ourselves to be, that can see it sometimes and be totally separated or feel separated from it at other times. But again, that's kind of like, it's the creation looking on the creation itself. It's almost like if you've ever heard an old analog radio, if you have two radios, like a CB radio close to each other, they squelch. They make that loud squelching noise, squealing noise. It's almost like that. If the creation looks at itself too much and tries to identify with that too much, it's almost like a squelch. It just starts to become uncomfortable. It's like hyper identity. I must know who I am. I must be something. I must identify with all these things and know exactly what it is. You just start to drive yourself crazy because it's all mind. It's mind messing with the mind. It's like being in a house of mirrors. Whereas when you let the mind go and kind of drop into the heart, where the heart doesn't think, it's not logical. That's just a symbolic way of saying it's not an actual heart. It's just a symbolic way of saying something that is beyond thinking and logic. When you let the mind go into that and kind of lose itself into that, and most people can only do that a little bit at a time, especially in the beginning, you might get a little glimpse and then you feel like you lost it, where you didn't really lose it. You're so used to rational, logical thinking that it's like diving underwater. You can't really stay down there that long. And so this is funny because I actually didn't even think I would talk quite this much. I thought there would be a lot of silent pauses and no talking. Just kind of being. It'll be interesting to see how many views this kind of video gets and how many people actually stick to the end, because it is definitely not your traditional YouTube content where there's a title that establishes a form of content and a goal to get to. So you kind of like click the video, you might even kind of scroll through on things that are boring or you already know. And then you kind of, in the back of your mind, you want to get to the end. There's somewhere to get to. Okay, I've consumed this one video about this thing and about this subject. Whereas this type of video, there is no end point. There's no, okay, I see a title, so we're going to start here, and then I'm expecting to end up there. And there's a bunch of stuff in the middle. Some will be good, some will be bad. Some indifferent, maybe I scroll through. This is more of it's almost like in Zen they say sitting, just sitting, being. One of my favorite Zen sayings or koans is, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. In a lot of ways, that's kind of like this video. We talk, we spend some time together. If it's before enlightenment, we talk, we spend time together. If it's after enlightenment, we still talk, we spend time together. But what does it mean? Is there meaning? Or is it just peace, just enjoyment, just part of what's happening? I also feel like there's a lot of people out there who could really use just a video where they're just sitting together. And hopefully I can do that on a live video at some point so that there can be back and forth. But right now it's just a recording. But I do feel like there's so many people out there who crave or who need community and togetherness. They feel isolated. They can get stuck in a whirlwind kind of echo chamber of their own thoughts, their own ideas about who they are. Sometimes their ideas can get inflated and they have an unrealistic sense of themselves. Sometimes they can get really depressed and have a very down idea of themselves because they're alone and they don't have a reflection coming back at them that says they're good. Or maybe it says, hey, you're thinking a little too much of yourself or something like that. But I feel like there is a huge number of people who are lonely, overworked, scared about money and food and shelter. They're angry about what the world looks like in terms of corruption and geopolitics and so many different things. And especially with social media, you can see, how often do you see someone posting about their darkest moments in life? It's hard to do. It's hard to admit your dark moments and when you don't feel good. And so what you wind up seeing is people's high moments, and then it makes other people feel as though they're just losing in life on every level because apparently everyone else is happy and rich and they're not, which is an absolute illusion. So I guess that's another reason why I wanted to do a video like this where there isn't a set goal. It's not really, hey, let's get from point A to point B and accomplish a thing or learn a thing. I have no idea what you as the listener will come away with from listening to this. Some people will absolutely click away in the beginning. Some people might get to the middle and be like, it's boring. Some people might find it refreshing and just want to hang out. Just kind of sit, listen, not have a goal, not be told they're not enlightened enough or realized enough or successful enough or whatever it might be. And I think I'm going to do more of these videos. Not because I think they'll blow up and get huge numbers of views or anything like that, but because I just think it's something that's not out there very much. While we're talking about that kind of thing, in terms of future videos, these obviously I think I want to do more of. I definitely want to do some videos on Hanuman. If you're not familiar with Hanuman, you can kind of look him up. He's a Hindu deity. Kind of looks like a man and a monkey, for those of you not familiar. But it's Hanuman. I don't consider myself a member of any particular religion or name, etc. But I've had some very interesting experiences spiritually with different, I'm not sure what you would call it, traditions, identities, that kind of thing. And maybe some explanation of those experiences and my perception of them and how I view them, because they're pretty diverse. Hanuman is central to a lot of the things I talk about and a lot of the ways that I exist at this point. But if you focus on Hanuman as a singular deity and a singular entity, you won't really understand how I view them or how I view the experiences that I've had. It'll leave you assuming some things about separate identities. Me, Hanuman, you, a religion, all these names and identities on one level have a very important purpose and a very important place in our lives as single entities that go through a human lifespan. But beyond that, there's something much, much deeper, something I could say that was revealed to me. But even that is, when we talk about it in the future, that idea of one thing separate from another thing, revealing something or being experienced, is not accurate. It is accurate in the context of now, in terms of us talking as individuals to each other, but I think it'll become clear later when I explain it. And that's also kind of my spiritual name and the name of the channel, which is Kapindra Datta. And again, those things are easily looked up. I don't need to give you my bias or explanation, but that's where that name comes from. Is from my experience with Hanuman. And I would say it's beyond identity and time and separateness and all the things we usually think of when we think a religion, a deity, a worshiper, faith, etc. So just want to mention that a little bit. I'm sure from the name of the channel, I'm not sure if I've mentioned Hanuman in previous videos, but I'm sure someone's curious about where that comes from and what that is. So just wanted to mention that. So yeah, I don't want to go too long on this video. I might even make a second video as a continuation, but I don't want one particular video to be too long, especially as a first one of this style, just to see how it feels and what the feedback is and that kind of thing. But I might just stop recording and then continue in an entirely separate video. Maybe I'll number them or something like that. No subject necessarily, but just like we could do sitting together, or talk number one, or something to that effect. Just so if people want to find them or listen to one in particular, they can have some reference point. Yeah, but I think I'll leave it there for now. Who knows, this might get 2 views, and it's not necessary to even mention this, but if you want to leave feedback in the comments, if you like this kind of thing, or if you think it's useful or something nice to keep doing, I'd love to read them. If not, that's okay too. And just as another aside, this will not be a channel where I'm ever trying to get anything from you. I'm never going to ask you for money. I'm never going to ask you to do a members first video, section, or try to monetize you or turn you into some kind of a transactional thing where I provide something to you, you give me something in return. That is not what this is, nor is it intended to be. So you can kind of rest assured that in a world where it seems like everything is turned into some kind of transaction, or what can I get from this person, or what can they give me, I don't want to give you anything, and I don't want you to give me anything, because I don't think I know that you have everything that you need. I have everything that I need. I'm here with you. I'm absolutely present with you. I'm not trying to get a like or a subscription or a comment, or for you to buy a Patreon or a members first subscription, or turn myself into a nonprofit and ask you to donate. None of that. It's just about being present. I'm present. You're present here. How often in life does that happen? And how often, how many people seek that out in life, whether it be through romantic love, spiritual love, finding a guru. And I guess that's a good place to kind of bring in Hanuman. And for me, Hanuman showed me so much more, but specifically this and more. He showed me that unconditional, no judgment love. Just the purest kind of love that you can possibly imagine. No transaction, no praying to him for something. No me praying to something else to get a third thing. Just pure presence and being. Acceptance, beyond acceptance, because there is no line between myself and Hanuman, or you and Hanuman. And it's not about the name. It's not about the name or appearance of Hanuman versus Buddha versus Krishna versus Jesus versus the one God. It's not about any of those distinctions. It's so, words don't describe it. So I will leave it there for now, and perhaps continue right after I stop this one and upload it, and just do another one, continuing the stream of consciousness and the talk, or maybe I'll do it later today or tomorrow. But I will leave it there. I hope everyone listening found something here, and we will talk soon.